Hello and welcome back. It's Laura at Hyperstamper. I'm going to try something different today. I have two junk journals here, both super old. This cover here was mounted on top of a vintage book, and it is from the 1800s with a leather top, and it is quite aged and beautiful. And then these beautiful wood accents that came from a dresser from the 1800s as well. So I did quite a bit of work to get these mounted on these vintage books. This one here is the original string that came out of this 1800s book, and I didn't want to pull it out, so I just added that to the decor of it. And this is vintage linen that I have put around the back. This one here, this was actually about 18 inches long from a London Times bound book, and it's obviously from 1907, and it was just so beautiful. It long ago disintegrated and pulled away from the book, so I kept this spine. That's the spine, if you can believe it, and I made it into this journal cover. The original book here is vintage Heidi, but the colors just match so perfectly. I had to put them together. I put this antique brass handle on here, and this backing here is from the 1907 Times book, and I added some vintage jewelry here with a little vintage bit up here as well, and some lace and vintage crochet, and I love them both. So I'm going to go through them both very quickly so that you can see them both at the same time. Let's go. This one here, I love it so much. In both, as always, I have all original, authentic, antique and vintage ephemera. Nothing is commercial, printed, fake, replica. And then I've just added some tea-dyed pages from myself. So that's from 1926. There's some cursive practice from a school book. Here is a lovely plate from 1906. I love it. This is one of those wallpaper bits from the early 1900s that was hand painted. It's a wallpaper border I made into a tag from a 1906 pocket page, a 1920s music sheet, and look at this wonderful 1920s Needlework and Craft Annual. That was the back cover there. I love this. It's from the 1950s, a fantastic magazine page there, a 1950s color bingo card. It's actually kind of rare because that game never took off, so there were very few editions printed from it. That is the original jacket cover from this book here, and then these were some pressed flowers found, which is odd, in this book. So into the 1800s. I don't know how old they are, but they live here now. There we go. Okay, and just a children's craft book here from the 50s, 1904 book. Look at this. Oh, look, 1904 book page. So I'm getting ahead of myself. I get very excited. This is a liquor license from 1876. It is spectacular. It is, I love it so much. I didn't have a lot of these, but they're hard for me to give away because they're so beautiful. This came from a piano roll box. That's what I made this tag out of, with some antique spine on there. A vintage playing card there. A vintage recipe book page there from the 50s. Another 1904 page here. Vintage crochet doily. Just an antique book page there with a hidden paper clip, which you can remove and reuse. The cover of the Theatre World magazine from 1958. Just a nice little journaling pocket there with some vintage stamps, some fun clusters in here. 1950s Pearl Shop receipts, 1945 dictionary page. Okay, here I go. I'm still going. Vintage bird book. Another journaling tag in here. 1926 blank ledger page. Theater arts. What's in here? This is just a really old blank page from the 1800s. A little booklet here I made out of some of my scrap antique paper. Another 1920s scrapbook page. A lovely children's book page here. A very old vintage hanky, linen hanky. And vintage stamps. Oh, this is a plate from the early 1900s, the English Garden. Love it. a really funny playing card here. It's vintage, and look at the Joker on this one. I think it's fantastic. 1930s Monopoly money. Another journaling tag in a early 1900s English garden book page. And that is that one. It is going on Etsy shortly. And then this one here, we have inside here a lovely, really old antique stamp here. And a really fun little children's book page image here that a child has covered or colored over the years. Lots of fun clusters. Another one of these bingo cards from the same game I acquired. And a hand-stamped ledger page here. And we've got a recipe page, another journaling tag here, vintage doily. Look at all this stuff in here. This is from American Garden book from the 50s. An 1890s full page, double-sided from 1890s Demarest Family Magazine. A lovely vintage playing card here. I'm sorry, I've been out of camera. Antique paper, more antique paper, a 1930s community chess card from a Monopoly game. Look at this great advertisement from the 50s from a magazine. And another little journaling card here. Isn't that cool? The bird images from a vintage encyclopedia. And there is a vintage wildflower card from an English wildflower book. And this is from 1943. It is a roll call book from the Beacon Lodge. Tulips page from a children's book. I just love the images from these children's books. There's a really fun photo from the 1920s. A mom and dad and their two little kids there. 1950s ice cream receipt from Jean's High Grade Ice Cream from Massachusetts. And another, this is actually an 1800s children's book page there. So really cool things on that. Oh, there's more over on the other side. This tuck has, oh, this is cool. This came from a 1920s scrapbook page. It was a school scrapbook, and some of the articles have been pulled off, but it's really cool you can reuse that, cluster it, or just keep it because it's so spectacular. Another 1950s receipts there. A vintage wine label that never got used. Theater Arts magazine page. Pippin shorthand pocket. And that is also from 1909, that little article there on a fowl, a plate from the 1930s. No, sorry, this one is from 1902. That came from one of my collections there, 1940s. There, Beacon Lodge, 1950s magazine page. It's a big, huge one. This is just a fun little journaling card here with a vintage advertisement on it, and the pocket is made out of a postage stamp collector's book. Another antique pocket here, a 1938 Paris, France almanac page, double-sided from June. Really great cluster there. And what have we got over here? Oh, another wonderful vintage bird book plate. More fun things from the 50s here. Another little one here. And that brings us to the end. Look at this 1907 ad for these wonderful domed clocks. So there you go. On Etsy now, hyperstamper.etsy.com, and take a look. They make great Christmas presents. And don't forget to subscribe. Bye.